James is going to talk about Trotsky, Rise and Fall of a Revolutionary. And I'm going to talk about Ragdoll Season 1, The Zodiac, She Said, and Compartment No.6. And we're not having really a fancy stick dinner today. And this is some cereal and pistachios I stuck out thinking maybe the blue jay would come. I put some pistachios on the ledge and I put some pistachios here. But James can eat them if he wants to. The blue jay.
Are you going to eat half of them or something?
No, I don't have to.
Well, you should really have some. Nuts go well with.
It's okay. It's okay. So anyway, the blue jay. I was waiting for James here, and I could hear the blue jay. He was on the ledge over there where I put the seed, and he came and sat on the plywood, and he just looked at me like, "You got to put more out," because I've run out of peanuts, and so I said, "Okay, I'll go in and get you something." And so I got up and I went out, went in the house and got him some pistachios because I had some pistachios. So we'll see if he likes pistachios because I don't have any peanuts right now. Anyway, James is going to talk about this in a minute. It got the top of the stack because at least it's based on reality or whatever. And James said it wasn't too bad. Ragdoll Season 1. I don't know what they'll have to do, I don't know what there'll be of Season 2 or 3 or whatever. This one says it was made in 2021 and put out 2022, so there might even be another season already. And it was creepy. It's a murder drama, a police sort of thing. Through this whole season, they're trying to catch one serial killer, and there's an interesting story to it. So, and with the end, how it wraps up, I guess we're expecting there's going to be a sort of copycat-ish thing, or whatever. I don't know, because I don't know how it can go on from this season. But I look forward to finding out how. They did an alright job. As much as, I don't know, it's just a police drama kind of thing, and whatever.
Is it English?
Yeah. I guess I should say that if you're into British pop dramas. They're certainly. They even bring up the issue of there's. It's very multinational kind of thing with the police force or whatever. It's
The term
I'm
they like is
tired.
diverse. Right?
Yeah, diverse. That's so. Anyway, and they bring that up in the show, which makes it more interesting, actually, that they've done that. So they're putting it out there, and then they're talking about it, which I think that's better. Anyway, the Zodiac. This one's an older one. It says 2006. It seemed older than that. I don't know.
Was that the documentary?
No, this is not a documentary.
It's not about the Zodiac killer? Okay.
Oh, yes, it is. It's based on true events, but it's not a documentary. It's a movie.
Okay.
Yeah. And so watching this, there's some things at the end, and they're like, still hasn't been caught, da, da, da. But we watched a documentary that I believe it was put out by the son of, he believes he's the son of the Zodiac killer and others. He thinks that there's a few, he's the son tracked down, he knows his father was in certain areas at certain times, and he's like, it was him, and I think he was right. James?
Well, I'm not sure. I was hearing it must have been something else, another killer. Yeah. They were saying a son or something like that had squealed on his father, but it looked like DNA disproved that. But you're saying there's no
This one,
DNA for
they
this.
said there was no DNA that he left behind.
Must be a different case.
Anyway, she said, this one, I had heard about this based on the true story too. It's about a couple New York Times reporters, and it doesn't say the guy's name. I can't remember what his name was, but I guess he's a real guy. Anyway, he was a Hollywood producer or something like that, big shot. Miramax Films, I guess they said him. And over decades, he'd been doing sexually inappropriate things with young interns and such, and young actresses, just young women, pretty young women who were working under him. And
so was it exploitation, or was there actual, was he like that Weinstein or whatever his name is that was doing rape?
That's him.
That's right. What did I say?
I think that's him. So anyway,
Hardly Weinstein.
Yeah. So it was, it wasn't. I'm like, I guess when I say sexually inappropriate, I'm downplaying it.
Mm-hmm.
It was bad. Like,
it sounds like sexual assault, right?
Yeah.
Multiple, like a serial
and
assault.
Some people, like, they did raise a good point in the show. They were saying, should we be focusing on actresses, people who actually have a voice, when we look at trying to change the system to protect women from being assaulted? And that's a good point. That's a very important point that they made, because one can only expect that if it's happening to the people who actually have a voice, it's happening a lot more and a lot worse to women who don't. You just have to expect that. So, do I think that it's good that people like, who was it, Ashton Judd, who came forward and stuff like that?
She was the first, I think, with this.
Very good. Of course I think it's good that she came forward. She has a voice and she used it. That's good. You know what? I don't think that people who have a voice should be silenced from talking about it. No. That's good that they're coming forward, but at the same time, there are many, many women out there who don't have a voice, and they're getting it a lot worse. You know they are, because only absolute fools are taking out their desires or whatever on women with a voice, because those women are going to talk about it, right? So anyway,
or at least a certain percentage.
Now, having said that, I didn't care for the movie. I thought it was kind of boring. It seemed to go on, and because it's about reporters, right? So had it been,
reporters think they're the sexiest thing going, I'm sure.
Maybe, but had it been about the actresses, their what they went through themselves or whatever, maybe it would have been more effective. I don't know, but I'm glad that they made the movie, because it's good that people are talking about this sort of stuff. But I'm not entirely glad that I spent my time watching it. Honestly, not that interesting. Compartment No. 6. Now, this is a Russian movie. And honestly, I can't even think of Russian movies that I've watched. It's just not... Do you see Russian movies? I mean...
You've seen one thing or a couple of things over and over again, like Sergei Eisenstein's fake history of the revolution, you know, where Lenin is yelling and screaming, you know, kind of leaning out over the crowd and all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of fist waving and hand waving and stuff like that.
But yeah, this movie seemed really long. It wasn't a bad movie. It was subtitles, so I had to be watching them in order to get the movie, and it wasn't bad enough that I didn't actually bother to read. I read the subtitles, so I did sit through the movie. And but I mean, it's about the woman she's a Finnish woman going on a big trip to Murmansk.
Murmansk?
Yeah, in the winter.
Oh my God.
And
it's on the Arctic Ocean, folks.
And so she really didn't have it planned out very well, but it seemed like her girlfriend, who was an instructor at a university, might have planned it out and then ditched the plans or whatever, right? Because she had a room reserved, like in her girlfriend's name and stuff. So it seemed like her girlfriend had planned. And the woman at the desk in the hotel, or somebody said, yeah, university people or whatever, sometimes they get helicopters to take them out to there, but come back in the summer because there's no way to get out there. You know, there's no road and nobody's going to take you. There's no,
to Murmansk?
Yeah. Well, to the petroglyphs, to see the petroglyphs.
Okay, there.
Yeah, and so anyway, so it was this big long trip that she went on, and then that, right? She's like, oh, and it sucked because some things happened along the way that, you know, it wasn't a great trip, and then it turned out, but in the end, somebody did end up taking her there. I guess I'll just spoil that for you, but and I don't know, it seemed like, why would you want to go there? And I'm sure everybody around was thinking, why would you want to go? And they didn't even show the petroglyphs, so I don't know. I don't know if she found them, but she went there anyway. And yeah, I don't know. Honestly, it seemed like a documentary. It was just there was a lot of traveling on the train and a lot of winter scenes that nobody wants to, you know, and you could tell they were feeling it. I mean, you had like red hands and red faces, right? Like it's realistic. So anyway, James is going to talk about Trotsky now. Rise and fall.
I'm going to have to kind of lick my fingers here because I don't want to.
Okay.
This thing's got to go back to the library.
That's okay. I can wash it off. It's just the plastic. You can touch it. I can wash it.
So it's a pretty good segue. It's
yeah, I didn't even plan it that way.
Going from Russia to Russia.
Russia to Russia.
Now, Murmansk isn't the worst place in the world, or even in the former Soviet Union. It's on the Arctic Ocean, but it's actually the place where the Allies used to send stuff during World War II. Because I'm not sure if it's a ice-free port year-round, but it would be as close as possible to an ice-free port on the Arctic Ocean near Moscow. There are Vladivostok in the east, I suspect, is ice-free. Most, yes. But you'd have to, if you landed some stuff there, you'd have to go through the Trans-Siberian Railroad to get to Moscow or places further west. So if you're talking while I'm eating, but what the heck? You don't like it, I guess you can tune in to something else. Anyway, trying to keep my mouth closed most. Anyway. Yeah, there's another place up there, same general area, another port, Arkhangelsk. I'm not sure where the accent comes there. It might be Murmansk, not Murmansk. So I apologize to anyone who knows better. to Russian speakers in particular who are, and there's quite a few of them, who are civilized. There's a lot who aren't. There's ones who be supporters of Putin. And there are people who wouldn't be supporters of Putin. Like true believers in Russian Orthodoxy. Wouldn't be terribly nice either. I want to go back to the old days of the Tsar. You know, two wrongs don't make a right. Just going from Putin to anything doesn't guarantee that anything is good. Might be better than Putin. Might be worse. I mean, that's what happened with fellows. So that's my segment. The Tsar and the Russian Orthodox Church were pretty nasty. The different Tsars in the 19th century and into the early 20th century, Nicholas II, were very different. There was one Tsar, I forgot the number on his name, who got rid of serfdom. I think something like 1861, and guess what the lefties did in Russia to reward him?
Kill him?
They assassinated him. And of course the guys that followed the guy, they learned what they thought was a lesson. And they were really hard, we'll say, buttocks to the, not just the lefties, the people in general. And, Lenin was a collaborator with this chimp. Lenin, of course, was a chimp himself. So was Stalin. Lenin's bro suffered the ultimate fate. So his name, I've actually seen where he met his fate. It's probably called Petropavlovsk fortress, the Peter and Paul fortress in Leningrad. I was actually there, and I saw this thing on the wall, kind of like a plaque, and I think it was applying to a particular cell. So the fortress was used as a jail in Tsarist times. It was kind of like a museum when I was through there, but that was 1991. And I saw this plaque, Alexander Ulyanov. I said to the guy, "Is that who I think it is?" Yeah, you see, Lenin's real name last name was Ulyanov. So Alexander Ulyanov was Lenin's older brother. And, he met his demise, I think it was right there in the fortress. But Alexander, I think, was more like a people's will type of person. He just believed in direct action. And the amazing thing about Lenin is so that's like assassinations and stuff like that. So Lenin, what he did was he took Marx, which was already a bad idea, and then he added, Marx wouldn't have believed in direct action, like where individuals are doing this, that, and the other thing, kind of on their own initiative. And but Lenin kind of added that to Marxism, which made it even worse. And this movie, the ultimate fruit of it, Lenin tasted, or Trotsky tasted it. They do point out, this is why the movie's reasonably good, that, he's the one, as much as anyone else, who's responsible for setting the terror into action that ultimately killed him. So that's like being hoisted on your own petard, or petard. I think it's petard, maybe it's French. But basically, my understanding is you're making a bomb, and it ends up blowing you up in the ass. Or, it's like you're sitting on it. I don't mean to be really crude or anything like that. It sounded worse than I meant to say. But it's like you're sitting on it, and you just get hoisted on it, way up in the air. Boom, kaboom. This guy got, it was amazing. They were showing the ice pick. I've never seen it. It was huge. It was like, there was a kind of like a mat hook on one end, or a hoe, and then on the other end, the pick end. And I presume that's the thing that ended up in this guy's rather vacuous skull. Well, I shouldn't really say that because, it showed him giving a speech in German. It sounded pretty professional. And yipping and yapping in English. That's impressive. And of course it showed him yipping and yapping in Russian, giving speeches in Russian. So he was conversant in at least 3 different languages. So he was a knowledgeable kind of person, but he wasn't terribly bright when it came to understanding the implications of his action. He was a real mean idiot. Now they did get some things wrong, a matter of emphasis. So they were saying the Russian Revolution, the Octoberist Revolution, the Second Revolution, was really just a coup. They were saying one place that he took over, just 6 people died. They were saying that was a brilliant move. No, it's not a brilliant move. When you take out something like a regime that's gotten rid of monarchy and is aiming kind of, maybe not that well, but aiming towards having a social democracy, and you get rid of it. Not a brilliant move, but they call it a brilliant move. Several times they call him the hero of the Russian Revolution, hero of the Civil Wars. No, he's a freaking zero. The Second Revolution, the coup in 1917, was in October 1970. How much time?
7 minutes.
Okay. Anyone who leads that is not a hero. You don't go around saying Hitler was the hero of the Russian or the German recovery of the 30s, or of German rearmament in the 30s, or in conquering France in 1940, the spring of 1940, or conquering Denmark, or conquering Norway. You don't call him the hero of that sort of stuff. You don't call Trotsky the hero of the Russian Revolution, and you don't call him the hero of the Civil War. It's brutal. He's a brute. He's an absolute brute. And the amazing thing is, he was a Menshevik, and the Mensheviks were like the rump of the Social Democratic Party, the Social Democrat Party of Russia. They were pretty mean and nasty, even when they got rid of the commies. So Hitler, when he came up with not the Sicherheitsdienst, and not the SS, Schutzstaffel, when he came up with well, it probably wasn't him. It probably existed before he joined the Nazi Party. I think it's called the Sturmabteilung. Sturmabteilung. So Abteilung means department, roughly. I mean a variety of different things. And Sturm is cognative with the English word storm. The Storm Department. So what was the basic idea with them, at least initially? The basic idea was that they were there, well, Hitler, the way he presents it in Mein Kampf, and yes, I've read it, presents them as being the Nazi answer, the National Socialist answer to the Social Democrat folks who were there to protect their meetings, speeches, demonstrations from police, to a certain extent military, right-wing militias and stuff like that in Germany. Like I think even in the late 19th century, the biggest political party in Germany was the Social Democrat Party. And of course, they existed to break up the meetings of other folks. And that's the way they were used, of course, by the Nazis, right? They'd be breaking up, not breaking people's heads and so on and so forth. But it's the Social Democrats are really rough stuff. Even after the commies, or Bolsheviks as they call themselves, even after they left them, roughly in I think it was 1903, something like that, just before the first Russian Revolution, 1904, 1905 is a good date for that. I think the war with Japan was 1904, 1905. And Russia lost that quite badly, and it ended up making the regime, the Tsarist regime, very unpopular with the people. So, oh, here comes the Blue Jay. There we go. Not the Toronto Blue Jay, the Lethbridge Blue Jay, the wonderful guy. Toronto Blue Jays are actually doing pretty well. They're like fourth. Big trouble is, and they're in the toughest division in all of the major leagues. So they're fourth out of all the five teams. There he's got.
He took it.
He's got something.
It's going to be pistachio.
There we go.
He likes
There
it.
we go, buddy. Thank you. You're well worth it, guy.
Yeah,
Now he's off.
Yeah.
Maybe didn't like it that much because I've seen him one
Yeah,
time a
sometimes
couple of
he's
days
very
ago.
excited.
He was just back and forth with the peanut.
Yeah.
For a while,
So
you know,
maybe
he'd be a little while on
concessions.
the plywood there.
Yeah.
But he likes that one rather large branch, low branch there.
Yeah.
And what he'll do is he'll kind of do like a steeplechase thing. I don't know if you've seen his hurdles where people jump on the top of the hurdle. So he jumps on top. He just kind of hops off of the plywood in between, gets something, then hops off the plywood. I don't know why he does that. But they gotta have fun sometime. Anyway, back to more serious thing. Serious is death. Serious is cancer. And yeah, they call the Social Democrats the Mensheviks, who were in power in Russia for less than a year. They're the ones who did the heavy work of getting rid of the Tsars and the Tsars. Not actually killing them. That was done apparently in the orders of Lenin after Lenin came to power. And they say, oh, they call them the bourgeoisie in power with the Social Democrats. Get things straight, okay. The Social Democrats didn't represent the bourgeoisie. They didn't represent the middle class. They represented, at least in their own minds, the workers. You got that straight? So you could say, oh, they're intelligentsia. They're bourgeoisie. Guess what these idiots were? They're bourgeoisie too. So you don't go around saying, oh, they got rid of the bourgeoisie, the commies did. If you're saying, oh, they're bourgeois, they're social democrat bourgeois people. Because these guys were commie bourgeois people. Lenin, technically, I think, was supposed to be a descendant, i.e. the son of something like an aristocrat. I think to call his dad an aristocrat's pushing it, but some people have done it. You know, but he was a kind of like a bureaucrat more, an bureaucrat. His dad was.
30 seconds.
There you go. So, pretty good movie, but some mistakes like that. When you call the Social Democrats the Mensheviks bourgeois, you're adopting the commie line. You're adopting the party line, the wild party line. Okay? So, but basically a good movie. It's fairly objective about Trotsky. Trotsky was way more evil than he's portrayed in this.
All right.